boys and girls, it is Miss Oates and welcome back to another math review video. Today we're going to be going over skip counting. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to skip count by hundreds within 1,000 to add and subtract. You're also going to be able to skip count by fives and tens from 2 and 3-digit numbers. And our focus standard for this video is 2.NBT.2, count within 1,000, skip counting by fives, tens, and hundreds. Let's go ahead and get started. First off, let's talk about what it means to skip count. When you skip count, you are counting by a number other than ones. So when we count by ones, it's usually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those numbers go in a certain order. But if you think about skipping around the room or skipping around during PE or recess, you are skipping steps. That means you're jumping and lifting up some air. Same thing with skip counting. You actually skip count. You are jumping over some numbers. So you can skip count by twos. So our even numbers, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 14, 16, 18, 20. You can also skip count by fives, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, so on. Or you can skip count by tens. So thinking of dimes, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Or you can skip count by hundreds, so 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and 600. But for this particular video, or for this skill, we're going to be talking about skip counting by fives, tens, and hundreds. So let's talk about skip counting by fives. I have a hundreds chart right here, and as you can see, my hundreds chart goes from all the way from 1 to 100. I'm going to go ahead and skip count by 5, and I'm going to highlight the numbers that I'm skip counting. And I want you to see if you notice something about skip counting by 5. All right, are you ready? Listen to me as I skip count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. If you notice as I'm skip counting, I'm going from 5, 10, 15, 20. If you look, I either have a 5 in the ones place or a 0 in the ones place. And as you notice, if I'm skip counting by fives, looking at my hundreds chart, it's only the fives column that is colored and the tens column that is also colored as well. So when you're skip counting by 5, your knowns are usually going to have either a 5 or a 0 in the ones place. And you're jumping over 5 numbers to get to the next one. Let's talk about skip counting by 10. Again, I have a hundreds chart or a hundreds chart. So my hundreds chart goes from 0 to 100. I'm going to skip count by tens from 0 to 100. And I want you to see what you notice. Are you ready? Make sure you're following along. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. If you notice, when I'm skip counting by tens this time, only the tens place is changing. And if you notice as well, all of the numbers, all of the ones are 0. And as I'm skip counting by tens, my tens place is increasing by 1. So I'm going from 1 10 to 2 tens to 3 tens to 4 tens to 5 tens. When you're skip counting by tens, you can also think of dimes. Dimes are worth 10 cents, and every time you add up your dimes, you're skip counting by tens or you're adding up 10. All right, let's talk about skip counting by hundreds. And I want you to notice what place value changes when I skip count by hundreds. I'm going to go ahead and start by showing some base 10 blocks. So right here, I have 233. All right, so now I'm going to add 100 more or another flat. That's going to be 333, 433, 533, 633, and finally 733. What do you notice about all of these numbers changing? If you said you only noticed the hundreds going up, you're correct. Usually when you're skip counting by hundreds, your ones and your tens remain the same because you're only adding 100. So there's a 0, 0 in the ones and the tens place. Again, when you're skip counting by hundreds, think about dollar bills. A dollar bill is worth 100 cents. So if I have $5 bills, I have 500 cents. When you count your dollar bills, you're usually counting up by 100. So let's go ahead and do some practice. Let's practice with some word problems because you can use skip counting to help answer some word problems. Maxie is counting crayons by fives. She counted 95 so far. What would be her next 7 numbers? So she's starting at 95. So I'm going to go from 95 to 100. 5 more would be 105. 5 more would be 110. 5 more would be 115. 5 more would be 120. 5 more would be 125. And 5 more would be 130. If you notice, I am adding up 5 more crayons. And if you also look, it is either my ones or my tens place that is changing. But I always have either a 0 in the ones place or a 5 in the ones place when you are skip counting by fives. Let's go ahead and skip count by fives together, starting at 95. Ready? 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120, 125, 130. Excellent job, boys and girls. Let's go ahead and practice another one. All right. Ooh, this is another way that I can show that I'm skip counting by fives. This time, instead of adding 5 crayons or a picture of 5 crayons, I'm going to do some repeated addition. So for example, 95 plus 5 equals 100. 100 plus 5 equals 105. 105 plus 5 equals 110. 110 plus 5 equals 115. 115 plus 5 is going to equal 120. 120 plus 5 is going to equal 125. 125 plus 5 is going to equal 130. You notice when you're skip counting, you are always adding up by 5 or the number that you're skip counting by. And for this particular problem, I added 5 7 times to get my final answer of 130. That's how many crayons Maxie counted. Let's do another problem. So Lola is skip counting by tens. She starts at 345. What are the next 5 numbers that she can write? I'm going to use a number line this time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start at 345. Every time I jump, I'm going to add 10. So I'm going to jump over the 350 and land at 355. So I'm counting up by tens. So starting at 345, let's add 10. Lola will write down the number 355. Let's add 10 more. Lola will land at 365. Let's add 10 more. The next number Lola is going to write is 375. Add 10 more. The next number that Lola writes is going to be 385. Let's add 10 more to find out the final number that Lola will write, and that is going to be 395. So as you notice, during Lola's word problem, or this problem, Lola is adding up 10 more. She is skip counting by tens, which means she's adding 10 to get to her next number. Let's start at 345 and skip count by tens together. Ready? 345, 355, 365, 375, 385, 395. Great job. Let's do one more together. Raise your hand if you've ever played Monopoly before. Monopoly is a really, really fun game where you get to win some sort of money. Well, Leo is playing a game of Monopoly. He has $675 and he wins $300 bills. How much money does Leo have now? Well, we're going to start off with Leo's $675. And then we're going to add up another $100 bill. So those blue bills are going to be worth $100. So 675 plus 100 is going to be 775. Then 775 plus 100 is going to be 875. And then I need to add up 100 one more time. So 875 plus 100 is going to be 975. Again, to figure out the answer to this question, we skip counted by 100 or we added 100 to get to our next number. All right, boys and girls, that is it for this skip counting video. I hope that you have learned something new today. I will see you next time. Bye.